over. We're going to talk a little bit of Wizards because the last week of the Wizard season, we're going to bring in DC's People's Champion. Ken, how you doing?
This week sucked as a Wizards fan. That's all I got to say about that.
You got one win.
You're so mad that we only got one win, and I'm so mad that we got the one win. So we're both mad.
Because you know how I feel about tanking. You know I hate that crap. You know I hate it. I wanted more than just one win. We had a slither of a chance to get to the playoffs, and he didn't do it, and I'm pissed.
That's true. I mean, I think that they clearly wanted to tank in that game that they won, that they put in all their scrubs for.
Yeah, so it's been a few weeks.
I just can't believe our scrubs beat their scrubs, and they're a playoff team. I don't understand how that happens, but it's just like, but it sucks because Champ, we're 2 spots higher than we could have been in this draft lottery. I know you hate tanking, but like, what was the point of getting? I mean, we're literally. I talked all season that this is the one spot we didn't want to get was spot 11. And what the fuck did we get? Spot 11. I hate that spot. Because you have that thinking, oh, if 1 or 2 games went a little differently, you're in that play-in tournament. And that sucks.
Yeah, you don't want to be middling in the NBA.
Yeah, you want to.
Bad spot.
It's not a good spot. But I appreciate you wanting them to win every game. But we're going to go through this pretty quickly. I'm not going to throw stats up on the screen today.
I'm about to say, let's not beat a dead horse.
Yeah,
we know what it is.
We know what it is.
A lot of Johnny Davis, and scrubs like that.
Exactly. So let's
love crapping on Johnny Davis, Tim. I swear to God.
Prove me wrong, Johnny. Prove me wrong.
I can't anymore. There's no games left. So
well, next year. Use my tape as motivation.
Right. We'll send him the tape. So last week we had 4 games. Milwaukee Bucks, who we expected to lose, we lost to. We have the Atlanta game on the next night at Atlanta, and so they lost that one pretty considerably. And then the Miami is the win. That's the 114-108 win, and then the Houston we lost to them, which is impressive because we lose to the worst team,
a very bad team,
lose to a good team. But anyway,
yeah.
Let's go back to the Milwaukee game just quickly. Basically, the Bucks were up a little bit at the beginning. They had a pretty dominant second quarter. They scored 39 in the third. I mean, we still scored 35, and then we came back a little bit in the fourth. But at that point, I mean, they still put up 140 points, which is crazy. The Atlanta game, the scoring flow when the Hawks were up just a little bit after 1. They increased that lead by 6 in the second, increased it by 9 in the third, and increased it by 2 in the fourth, and then ultimately 134-116 win. In the Miami game, the Wizards started off strong, outscored them by 3 in the first, 26-23. Miami outscored them 28-27 in the second to come back a little bit, but a dominant third quarter where defensively they held the Heat to 20 points, and they scored 36. Was the difference in this. The Heat did try to make a game of it. They scored 37 points in the fourth. The Wizards only scored 25. The Wizards only escaped with a 114-108 victory. They could have lost this game if they tried to tank a little bit harder. But and then the last game, this Rockets game, the Wizards were up big in the first, scored 39 points. So outscored by 8 in the first. And then outscored by 4 in the second, 28-24. The Rockets had a really big third quarter. They outscored them 32-18, and they outscored them in the fourth, 27-24. So that was, the third and the fourth quarter obviously was a big difference there, and they beat us by 5 points. So yeah, it's an interesting week. Ken, is there a certain game or games that you want to talk about?
I want to talk about the Hawks game. Because that was a game that was that gave me a lot of nervous energy because of the fact that you were coming off a back-to-back at home against the Milwaukee Bucks, who came in, stomped you out in your own building, and then you had to go on the road knowing that you needed a win to at least keep yourself a chance, and you still go on the road and you get absolutely mollywopped. I mean, the score makes it look like you got pretty much ran out of that gym, and it just showed. I mean, Daniel Gafford did well. He had 25 points and 10 rebounds, so he had a double-double. He did the best that he could. But Trae Young went out there and scored 25. You still don't have your big three. They're still sitting down. So Gafford had to do some things. Your boy, Tim, Johnny Davis had 20. So at least he showed up in this game.
That's something. That's improvement.
Yeah, exactly. Kisper had 12. Goodwin had 10. So you had several players in double figures, but unfortunately, defensively, you couldn't stop Atlanta from scoring. And that's where you got messed up at, with Young with 25, Collins with 23, and things like that. I mean, it was just an all-around bad game, coming off of getting your butt kicked by one of the top teams in the East, and then turning around and going on the road and getting your butt kicked. What else can you ask for out of that? Especially from a team that's getting ready for the play-in tournament.
Yeah. So, unfortunate national scoring update. The Angels, even though the scoreboard isn't updated on Google yet, the Angels have taken a 2-0 lead over the Nationals here. So again, the Caps won 5-2, just for scoring update for people who have coming in late. But yeah, I don't know. It's such a frustrating week. It's hard for me to even. I
Yeah,
don't know. What, Tim, any games that stand out to you?
I'll just generally comment that, I mean, this is a good and bad thing. The Wizards have 3 or 4 players playing a lot from the go-go roster, not just Goodwin and Huff and players like that that have been on the team for a while. But it also shows that they have kind of a deep minor league, because I know the go-go made it to the second round of their playoffs, and a lot of their players have played in emergencies and been pretty good. So at least the Wizards are doing something positive with the go-go, and they do have, you could say, a deep minor league team. So I don't know if they'll ever get like a star from that system, but the top pick in the draft right now is playing in that league. So maybe they will eventually get like a star developed from the go-go, and it's another alternative to the draft where they often miss on the picks. So that's something.
Yeah, that's a good point. So it'll be interesting to see. Ken, do you have any other thoughts on this last week?
Yeah, I mean, again, as someone who's like an ultra competitive person, I always want this team to just play and win each and every game. If they'd have won these 4 games, they might have had a small chance to make it into the play-in. But unfortunately, when they lost to the Bucks and then the Hawks, that pretty much went out the window. And even with beating the Heat, it just wasn't enough. And then they go and they lose to the Rockets in their final game, not only their final home game, but their final game of the season. And it just is a very disappointing end to what looked to be a promising season, but it just ends in just utter disappointment, with the Wizards finishing 9 games under 500. Well, not 9 games under 500. It's finished 12 games under 500 and finishing 12th in the Eastern Conference. So very, very disappointed that, the season ended this way. And hopefully they do some things in the off season and they're able to get the big 3 back fully healthy, because you need Kuz, you need KP, you need Beal. And I swear, I think that if they can stay healthy for a majority of the season, I think this could be a much better team than they have been. Because you can see this last 4 or 5 game stretch, they didn't have the big 3, and look what happened, 1-4. So I honestly feel like those 3 players, if they're all healthy at the same time, this is a much different team, and this is a scary team to deal with. But clearly, when they're not there, this is a team that even a team like the Detroit Pistons could beat, and the Detroit Pistons are worse than us.
Yeah. All right, let's talk a little bit of playoffs. Unless there's anything you want to say.
No, I think that summed it up.
Yeah.
Well, let's see what the big 3 can do next year. If they're healthy, we can keep them together.
Yeah.
And upgrade probably the point guard, because the rest of the roster isn't great, so they need some pieces around them.
Yeah. So let's talk about the upcoming playoffs a little bit. So the play-in is what's happening this week, which is
starting tomorrow night.
Yeah. So exactly, starting on Tuesday, April 11th, the Timberwolves will play the Lakers. That's the battle of the 7-8. So the winner of that gets the 7 seed, and that's a 10 o'clock game on TNT. There's also an earlier game at 7:30 on TNT, and that's going to be the Hawks at the Heat. So again, so it's at LA. If the Timberwolves win, they take the 7 seed. If the Lakers win, they get it. The Hawks are at the Heat. So if the Heat win, they get the 7. If the Hawks win in Miami, they get the 7. And the losers of both of these will play in the losers will play the winners of these next games that I'm going to mention.
Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
Wednesday games are there's a 7 o'clock game between the Bulls and the Raptors. The loser of the Bulls at the Raptors is out. The
Mhm.
winner of that plays the loser of the Heat Hawks game. And then the Thunder Pelicans play at 9:30. So both these games are on ESPN. So the Thunder will play at the Pelicans. The loser of that game is out. The winner of that will play the loser of the Timberwolves Lakers games. I hope that makes sense to everybody. But
More or less.
it's a little bit complicated. And
It's
then
weird.
it is
Essentially, to simplify it, the 9-10 matchup is losers eliminated, winner is a second chance to get into the playoffs. Whereas in the first one, the winner's basically in the playoffs. The loser, it's a double elimination, meaning if they lose a second time, they're out. Essentially.
Yeah.
So that's why you want to be in the 7 and the 8 seed. So it's double elimination. So you have to lose 2 games for you to get knocked out. It's still possible. So that's gonna be thing. Let's talk about some of the other situations on Saturday. These are the games that are decided already. There'll be other games that will be created once they know the matchups. Because again, 1 will play the 8, 2 will play the 7, but still the 3 and the 6 and the 5 and the 4s have been decided. So the 3-6 matchup in the East is the Nets are playing at the 76ers. That's a 1 o'clock start on ESPN. On the other side of the East bracket, there's the Knicks are playing at the Cavaliers. That's the 5-4 matchup. That'll be on ESPN at 6. And at 8:30 on ABC, the Warriors are going to be playing at the Kings. So that's the 6-3 West Coast matchup. And then on Sunday, the Clippers are going to play the Suns, but the time hasn't been decided yet. And they'll be joined by a couple of the other games from the other side of the bracket that we were just talking about. I think that they all go to Sunday games, if I remember correctly, but maybe one of them might be on Saturday as well.
Yeah, I think it depends how many games they have to play in the play-in because it's not determined yet.
I think it might be the 7-2 game because because that will already be decided.
And that team will be rested.
Yeah. If the winner when you look at the first game of the play-in tournament, once the winner of that one is done, that person on the West, that team on the Western side plays against, I believe, who is it? Who is the top seed in the West? The second seed. They will play the Memphis Grizzlies. So that'll be already set, and then you'll be waiting to see who'll be facing the Denver Nuggets on the West. And on the East, whoever wins that East matchup on the 11th, which is tomorrow, they will face the Celtics in the first round, and then whoever wins on the third one will face the Bucks.
Right, and they'll probably get the most rest. So they'll probably both of those 1-8 games will probably be on Sunday, but at least one of those 2-7, if not both of them, I think would be on Saturday.
Yeah.
So my guess is it's gonna be one on each day. I don't know how they're gonna decide that, just because it makes sense for each day to have 4 games.
Yeah, just have back to back all day.
So
that could be a
big base hit right there for
That's
the
a
Nationals. It should score a run.
Yeah, 2-1.
And did it score 1 or 2?
1 run. It's 2-1 now.
Oh yeah, it's 2-1. We've got a base runner on first and second, with 2 outs in the the top of the second. This game is being played in LA, so you can see that we've switched the scoreboard at the top to now have the Nets game. Making dynamic scoreboards and going big tonight.
Yeah, all the graphics.
So I mean, some interesting matchups. Is there a particular playoff series that either of you guys are interested in?
I'm gonna shout out the Kings and Golden State series because I think obviously Golden State is one of the best 6 seeds you're ever gonna face in the first round, and the Kings haven't been in the playoffs for over a decade. You know, they had the longest streak in professional sports. Now it's the Jets. So they are very green, but their fans are going to be hyped, I think. I mean, it's a one team city, so they're going to be all about the Kings in the playoffs. I'm picking Golden State, but I mean, the Kings had a great season and they're the home seed, so I think that could maybe go 6 or 7 games. So that's what I'm going to watch. And also I know one of the starters is Kevin Herter, who played at Maryland, so that's a local player. But yeah, I mean, there's going to be a few really competitive series.
Yeah. Ken, is there any series that you're going to care about? Are you?
My eye is actually looking at the 3-6 matchup in the East of the 76ers and the Nets, because this is going to actually be a rematch from the time that they faced each other in the 2019 first round, 2019 playoffs, where they faced off in the first round. And I feel like both teams are extremely talented. I don't think their records really. I don't think the record for the Nets really reflects that, but they're a very talented team. And I think that this is going to be a really, really fun series to watch. I don't think it's going to go one side or the other in dominant fashion. I think it's going to be a very close series. I feel like Philly might take it, but they'll take it in 6. It's going to take them 6 games to dispatch Brooklyn, because Brooklyn's not an easy out on any stretch of the imagination. So I feel like this is going to be one of the most competitive matchups in the East for the first round, is between these two teams who were pretty much separated from each other by a couple of hours. So I think this is going to be a good series.
I just can't believe the Lakers made the run that they did. They were way out of the playoffs, and they've now find themselves in the 7th seed.
Yeah.
Right? So I know they're still technically the play-in tournament, but I mean,
that was the run I wish the Wizards would have went on, but they couldn't. So yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
we don't have
the run all the way to 7 is a good run, because
Yeah.
you get that game at home, which is an important one, but you also have the double elimination. So even if you lose that one,
you have one more.
You still get one more home game.
Yeah.
So like,
and I wouldn't be shocked if they did win a playoff series, because they have 2 of the top, arguably 5 players in the league still.
Yeah.
Davis and LeBron, if they're healthy. So
yeah,
they could make a run.
Yeah. So they're the team that I'm kind of like. I'm not a fan
Not
of LeBron,
guaranteed.
but I'm interested.
Yeah,
in
you
that
like the Lakers,
so I do like the Lakers. It's why it's
but not
tough, 'cause,
LeBron.
I don't like LeBron. So I
like them less now.
Yeah. So which
You
is
like
good, 'cause
you're a Kobe Lakers fan.
Exactly. So, and I like them, back in the day with, well, I guess
Magic Johnson.
Yeah. I mean, more so Kobe's era for sure, but I did dislike. I guess I was more of a Bulls fan back then, like
Yeah.
than I'm doing stuff, but that was pretty much everybody.
Yeah, people like the dynasty teams.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, did you guys root for the Bulls when you were like?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I did.
I like those players, and
Yeah.
I remember when the Jordan team, one of the Jordan teams beat the Bullets in the first round of the playoffs. I obviously rooted for the Bullets and think that team was one of their best teams, despite getting swept in the first round.
Yeah.
But just the East was tough back then. So
back in the day, I actually had a little Michael Jordan Chicago Bulls mini hoop, and I put it up in my hallway and would do like little dunks and little shots and everything like that. Yeah, I was a huge Bulls fan when Jordan was on that team and stuff like that. So yeah, but then I shifted back to my local team and stuff.
Yeah. And entering the man cave is the biggest Wizards fan I know. Right?
huge NBA fan.
Yeah, huge NBA fan. Welcome, Benson. So we're watching the Nationals, who just got that lead in half, which was good. They were up 2-0. Unfortunately, it was a pop out. So we could have gotten more because we had 2 base runners on with 2 outs. But still not bad. At least we got something back after giving up 2 runs pretty early in this game. All right, I think we've talked enough about the Wizards, and we can switch to the defenders. And for the rest of this, let me just